welcome to another new episode of Alex's Disorganized Thoughts. Once again, of course, I am your host, Alex Naranjo, welcoming you on this newest adventure of the pod. And as always, I need to thank everybody for their continued support over the last 5 weeks of the pod so far. All your comments, replies, everything that you guys download, views, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It truly, truly means a world to me right now. So I cannot thank you all enough for the support that you guys have given me as we've begun this adventure. So let's get going for our YouTube crowd and description of the jersey of the day. We have this week a 2019-2020 Liverpool FC third kit. It's got the Champions League patches. So this was the year after they won the Champions League. So it's got like the winner's patch with the year on it. And it also has the FIFA Club World Cup badge in the center of the chest. That jersey is also has a number on it. Has number 26, Andy Robertson, left back. One of my favorite players just because, one, he's one of the best left backs in the world. Two, he's incredibly funny. He's like genuinely funny. So he makes me laugh. Liverpool is my club team as far as like just team I support over everyone. As you can see over my head there, the Liverpool scarf, wrong finger, Alex. And there it is. Liverpool scarf over my head at the top there. They are my club. They mean a lot to me. They mean a lot to me due to the fact that both of my kids, Landon and Noah's middle names are after Liverpool players. Landon's middle name is Gerrard, after Steven Gerrard, and Noah's middle name is James, after the one and only James Milner. There may be jerseys with their names on it appearing later on. I will say I have way too many Liverpool kits. Off the top of my head, I want to say I at least have 5, could be 6, maybe even 7 if I really start. No, it's 7. I got one for every day of the week if I really wanted to stretch it out. Plus, I got a T-shirt, so they are truly, truly my club. And that just kind of leads into the first segment, I guess, first topic I kind of want to talk about this week. As you guys saw in the episode title that appeared over my head at the beginning, this is really a true grab bag. There's nothing really going on outside of like Kevin Durant trying to tell a billionaire what to do, which never ends well for the person who is not the billionaire. Like, I think he tried to flex and like, yeah, they just kind of said, nah, it doesn't matter. So like, look, I'm over all this drama. Like, just tell me when he gets traded at this point. As far as KD goes, I hope it's to the Heat and it doesn't cost Bam Adebayo. That's kind of where I end on that. And like I said, like there really isn't a lot. Baseball's kind of just mowing along there. But I will say, I mean, I'm a soccer fan. And I was asked this in Charlotte. I don't know if I talked about it last week on the pod. And when I recapped the Charlotte trip, one of our friends asked me, what's your number one sport? And my instant reaction was actually college football. And he goes, over soccer? I go, that's hard to say. I mean, I do love soccer. And it got me thinking. And I think the reason why soccer may be number one is because due to the MLS schedule and just how everything kind of works out, there's always soccer on. Like it's legitimately on year round when you start to really think about it, because you got the European League started last week, which we'll talk a little bit about now. Most European leagues, they'll run until August. That's a bit much. They'll run until we're in August now. They'll run until like May, honestly, like April, May. And during that time, you got MLS, USL leagues here in the States. So there's always soccer on. Like it's year round if you really want to just watch soccer. So I think that's kind of the appeal for soccer for me, at least. I spend, August to May focused on Liverpool pretty much for the most part. I mean, obviously you get the winding down to the MLS season, so I'm paying attention to that as well as USL. But it's Liverpool's my team, so being able to get that year round. But I will say I probably still overall enjoy more college football because I grew up on college football. but I think the fact, but again, college football, it ends. Like once January happens and the bowl games and the national championship, like it's gone. Like I cannot find college football unless I start watching classic games on ESPN. And I'm not about that. Like I can watch a lot of things over and over again. Annoyingly to La Esposa, especially when it comes to like movies and things of that nature. But like sports games, no, I can't. I genuinely can't watch that again. I can watch trophy presentations. I watched the Champions League presentation from that a couple times. It was nice. I can watch that, but like the actual game itself, like no, just give me the highlights. I already know how it ends, so just show me the good parts. Is kind of really what it comes down to with that. But like I mentioned, a lot of the European leagues have gotten underway in the last week. I believe France, as we know, England, as I mentioned, and France, England, and Germany have all gotten underway in the last week. Spain gets underway this week, I believe. So does Italy, or Italy's within the next 2 weeks. Um, it's going to be a crazy European schedule because they're trying to pack everything in because of the World Cup happening in December this year, in November, December. Like that's literally the middle of their season typically. So the fact that that's when the World Cup is, they're trying to squeeze in as many games before the World Cup because most leagues are being forced into a 6 week break that they obviously normally don't have. Um, so I think it's going to be very interesting. I think it's going to be really to see which teams are the deepest. It's going to be interesting to see because I think you're going to have games coming so fast and so often that it's really going to be who's the deepest team that kind of survives. As I've obviously mentioned numerous times with Liverpool being my team, I am obviously a Premier League guy. That doesn't mean I don't follow what goes on in La Liga and the Bundesliga and Serie A and Ligue 1. I love the French league. I have to say it like that. It's just I don't find them to be as competitive top to bottom as the Premier League. Um, France is honestly it's PSG and then there's everybody else. Like honestly, like the one year they didn't win it, like it was shocking enough. The Bundesliga, I believe Bayern Munich has won it 10 times in a row. So it's like them and some schlubs. And that's no disrespect to teams that I actually like Borussia Dortmund out there and I like watching what Leipzig is doing. And there's a lot. Bundesliga is actually probably my second favorite league to watch, just overall quality. I for some reason I just like Bundesliga. It's good fun. In Spain, I feel like you get Barcelona, you get Madrid, you get Atletico, and then after that, like the fourth spot seems to be always rotating. It's always like a Villarreal, Valencia, Real Betis got in there, got into those fights, Sevilla. There's always like someone there. So it's interesting, but like I said, I'm an English guy. I look forward to how Liverpool and City are going to be fighting this entire year. Like last year, those games were epic, and if the Community Shield was any indication, and that's technically considered a preseason friendly. Like it's a showcase game for the league for England, but it's considered a friendly, and there was nothing friendly about that game. Liverpool and City went at it, and to see them, I think that they're. I know Liverpool lost to Madrid, and Madrid's the champions of Europe. Blah blah blah. I still think that City and Liverpool are probably the two strongest teams in the world, club teams. So they get to see them in the same league, and see them match up as many times as possible. Hopefully, well, not as a Liverpool fan, hopefully not too many, but I'll take them. I'm not afraid of them, so it'll be good to watch. Definitely. Hopefully, Liverpool can win the league, and everything else. Hopefully, complete the quadruple. Well, I guess it's a quintuple this time. I don't know the quintuple. I guess I don't. I'm making up new words, guys. Um, but as we're talking about soccer, and I mentioned them as one of like the big three in Spain. If someone and in full disclosure, I'm taking a master's program from FIU in sports business, and it's taught in association with Real Madrid. So I'm being taught classes from Spain. Um, and I like to pretend that I kind of understand what's happening, especially with finance, especially financial fair play, which you can't spend more money than what you earn and things like that. Um, But for the life of me, I don't understand what kind of funny economics they're doing over at Barcelona. And I really implore a lot of you people, guys to kind of look this up, because it's kind of wild if you're interested into this kind of like sports business and finance and how they kind of run things. It's kind of wild. So obviously Barcelona was one of the clubs that fell in really, really hard times during COVID, not having fans and because they had hemorrhaged, they had spent way too much money on transfer fees. Thank you for the money for Coutinho. So they had spent a lot of money on transfer. It was coming back to bite them in the ass because they weren't able to generate as much revenue as was expected to cover everything. So they were essentially, as far as I'm concerned, broke. Um, they had to sell naming rights to the stadium, the Camp Nou. Now it's Spotify as the sponsor, as well as the sponsor on the jersey. Um, so as far as like they were broke, even in January, they were broke. Like all the players that they signed were all like creative signings. Like they had to sell some player just to open up the salary spot to then sign them on the free because they couldn't spend money because they didn't have any money to spend on transfers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they couldn't afford to pay. For instance, one of the examples I'm going to come back to the same Pierre Aubameyang from Arsenal. So they waited for Arsenal to basically get pissed off at him enough, release him as a free agent, and then they didn't have to pay Arsenal and just dealt with the player directly. So they've been doing a lot of things to kind of get around rules, and especially the very strict rules that are going on in Spain right now, because they obviously don't want any teams to hemorrhage so much money that they are in situations like Barcelona where everything is riding on it, and the club could fold if you guys aren't careful enough. Like the club can go into administration that owes debt, that owes money. Um, so they actually got their players to defer money from their salaries and take pay cuts and this summer they've gone out and spent money. Like they've gone out and spent money like drunken sailors. I don't understand where, like I said, they were being all creative and now they went out and bought Robert Lewandowski from Bayern Munich and they bought, you know, excuse me, re-signed Dembele and yeah, they sold Ricky Puig and they sold guys here and there, but it didn't make any sense. Like they keep trying to sell, and the one that's really the whole thing that kind of brought this to my attention. Besides the fact that I heard this morning, I actually read it yesterday that same Arsenal striker who they got for free, they may now be forced to having to sell him to Chelsea to make money because they are not able to register two of their new signings this summer. Like how is that a thing? Like how did you even sign these players without actually having the space and or money to do so? And then like the well, that one is an interesting one. The one that really is the whole Frankie de Jong case. And again, one of the things I asked you all to look at. He deferred his salary last year, I believe a total of 6 million. A deal agreed by Barcelona, offered by Barcelona in order to help ease their financial crisis at that time for last season. And he makes a high salary because he's one of those that they spent way too much money on. And they are trying to get rid of him first to United. And now it looks like Chelsea's going to go get him. But they're really forcing him out the door. The way they're treating him is quite frankly disgusting. To the point where they're like, you have to take a pay cut or else we don't know what we're going to do with you. Like just it really, really gross things. And the one that really, really has kind of boggled my mind is that they've told him that his contract could be illegal. Okay. Who gave him the contract? Like, why hasn't anybody talked about this? Like it's not like he gave up the contract and gave it to Barcelona and said, here, sign this. I'm gonna play here. No, Barcelona gave him a contract. So did Barcelona do things illegally to try and make sure this would happen in the future? Like these are questions I have. I don't know why I haven't heard this asked more often. But it's pretty crazy as to what's going on. And like I said, they sold the stadium rights. I believe they actually sold like future TV earnings, like 15% or something like that of their future TV earnings to help finance some things. Like they're hedging their future. If any one thing goes wrong, they're in trouble again. And like I mentioned, actually two of their signings may become free agents again on Saturday if they're not able to register them. And right now they can't because between Aubameyang, De Jong, and the other players that they can't get rid of for whatever reason because they don't want to take too much of a loss. Because on top of that, they're being prideful about how much money they want because they obviously have certain amounts they need to get. They may be just become free agents again and be able to sign with any team. Like they literally signed with Barcelona at the beginning of the summer. And now it's like, all right, we can't actually have you here. Like what is going on? Seriously, like I for the life of me, and I think I'm a knowledgeable soccer fan and I understand most of the economics behind soccer. Hell, I'm taking courses on it. I I don't understand what the hell Barcelona's doing. And how they're able to kind of survive on that. Um, yeah. I don't know where to go with there because it's just like I said, it doesn't make any sense. Um, they went out and spent like drunken sailors, and they really didn't have the money to spend like drunken sailors. So I don't understand the financing here. So if someone could let me know, please contact me, and I would greatly appreciate that. So this week, folks, is the Miss Marvel recap week. I know I didn't talk about it last week, but that was, last time I mentioned it was 2 weeks ago, and that is in fact this week. So I'm not gonna spend too much time on it because the more I watch it, the more I think about it, the more I kind of realize the show is kind of weak sauce. As far as Marvel shows in general go, the story itself it felt very generic and very cookie cutter. Like I don't know what it is with Marvel series lately, but that you have to go travel in the middle of them. Moon Knight, you went to Egypt. Miss Marvel, you went to Pakistan. Like I believe in Falcon Winter Soldier, they traveled in the middle of it too. Like it's just what you do in the episode 3 and 4, I guess. Um, but I like the show itself. The show itself, I thought was a good like family show. I thought there was a lot of good like family values and the things that they showed of the culture was I thought very very nice, well done. So I'll give them credit for that. And I thought the characters itself were really really likable. Um, I'm forgetting their names. The person who played Bruno, I loved Bruno. I thought he was great the whole series. I always looked forward to when Bruno came out. Nakia, obviously Miss Marvel. They were all very very well played. So I actually enjoyed it as far as that part went. But like I said, the story itself, like it was very much like generic. I understand they stuck to the comics, which is something that Marvel always does. Um, but coming off like Moon Knight, and I feel like Moon Knight is one of their better shows, probably right up there with like Loki and What If and stuff like that. I really, really am a huge fan of Moon Knight. Rumors are there's a season 2 coming. I really, really hope so. That's a lot of reallys lately, and there's another one. So it's just it was good. It was good, but again, a little cookie cutter. I know she's in Miss Marvels, so that's confirmed. That's nothing out of this world. Um, was nice to see that post credit. I still don't understand the post credit scene in Miss Marvel, where they kind of she swaps places and all of a sudden it's Miss Marvel. It's Brie Larson. It's Captain Marvel. Um, so I don't get it. I've seen the Nerdist video. I've seen I believe Everything Awesome, Everything Now, whatever it is. I've seen multiple videos trying to break it down for me, and for the life of me, no. I just stare at it and I'm like, no, no, this isn't working. I don't get it. I still don't get it. What's going on? So I'm very patiently waiting for Miss Marvels, the Marvels to come out. I will say though, the biggest reveal I think of this whole series is the fact that they made Miss Marvel a mutant. So, and they were very careful in how they did it, which was like the key to it. It wasn't like they just use. First of all, Marvel doesn't use words haphazardly. We all know this. Like they're very, very, you know, if we're gonna use the word, it's for a specific purpose. Like when in Infinity War, when Doctor Strange said, "Oh, we're in the end game now," that was purposely said because they knew Endgame was the next name of the movie. Um, So Bruno tells Kamala that you have a mutation. And then you hear the theme for X-Men in the background. So you know that she is in fact a mutant. And that's huge because this is the introduction of mutants into the MCU. Now, a lot of you will remember in Doctor Strange, famously, Patrick Stewart came back as Professor X. Couple things here. One, he's dead. Wanda killed him. And two, he wasn't part of the main MCU timeline. He was in that alternate reality in 838. The main MCU universe is 616, as said in the movies, or there's also a book that says it's Earth 199999. I don't know why so many nines, but you know, it is what it is. So the only confirmed mutant in Earth 616 at the moment is Miss Marvel. Hopefully that opens the door for, you know, Gambit and X. As I said, I need a Gambit movie. X-Men, the rest of the X-Men to come in. I hope so. I hope it's part of the announcements that are coming in Phase 6 for D23. So it's gonna be fun. I think Miss Marvel really set a good plate for what's she's definitely obviously involved in the Marvels. I want to see how they do it now with the fact that she and Carol kind of swap places. So, like I said, I didn't understand it. I know it's going to be explained in the movie, but just on face value, I still don't get it. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Miss Marvel. She-Hulk starts next week. Looking very forward. I did see some of the Groot shorts. If you haven't seen those, go watch them. They're good fun. It's Groot. It's Baby Groot. Makes you laugh. You have a down day, go watch Baby Groot. It's gonna make you feel good. But Miss Marvel does start next week. I am looking forward to that show. It's the first comedy from Marvel as far as their TV shows. So obviously we'll have some form of ranking, or I will talk about them very over the top, and we'll have the review a month after the finale, like always. So speaking of Marvel and then having all that fun that was had this last weekend, as you remember, we had the Tampa Bay Lightning jersey last weekend because Las Bosa and me were going to Brewfest over at Emily, and it was a great time. We had a lot of beer, a lot of seltzer was had by Las Bosa. She had a lot of pumpkin beer because we had VIP passes because we roll that way, and she had a lot of VIP. We had a lot of VIP pumpkin beer. She definitely downed a good amount of that. There was like a pumpkin porter, I think, that she was hammering down. My personal favorite beer was seeing a company called Pirate Republic Brewing Company from the Bahamas. I have actually had that beer in the past. Last time I was on a cruise ship, we stopped at Nassau for like a whole day. Like we get docked like at 8, and we were there till like I want to say 8 or 9. And we were there with some friends, and we spent the entire like we were on the boat till like 4, and then at 5 got off the boat, and then just spent the entire night drinking at Pirate Republic because they're a brewery and they were just open. They didn't have food, so we had to like walk next door for a half hour. We ate and then we walked back and kept drinking at Pirate. Like the guy was like, "Oh, you're back, my friends!" Like it was honestly the best, and to see them there was like just brought back so many memories, and I downed quite a couple of those. It was a good time. Afterwards, because it ended at 10:30. And if you are a parent and you have babysitters, you're not coming home at 10:30. Like you're gonna stay out. So we went to American Social to get something to eat because we were all hungry. And that was like, thank God I'm married. Like, thank God I'm married. Like I don't have to deal with that anymore. Like, cause I went into the bathroom and they had like, you know, the guy that hands you the towel, so you gotta give a tip. Like I gave that dude $1 and ran the hell out of there with my paper towel. Like, it was like a club, man. I do not miss that. So yeah, thank God I'm married. I don't have to deal with that anymore. But then we went to a place called Gen X, Gen X bar. So like Generation X, and the bar was great. It's a very like retro bar, 1990s. But my favorite part was they had this big mural wall that was like a wall of lockers, and it had every reference you can imagine on it. Gremlins, Double Dare, like you name it. it was probably on their Top Gun, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Like it was just so awesome. They had good beers too, because I love me a good Stella. So definitely had a really good time. Another thing that happened actually happened today. A day of recording. I record on Wednesdays. Today was the first day of school here in Hillsborough County, and that was an adventure for me. It's the first time, kind of like Landon went to school today, had kindergarten for his first day, like his first real day of school. Nerve wracking. Excuse me. Like extremely nerve wracking because I didn't know how it would go, how Landon would do. As I've spoken, Landon is autistic, so it's very sometimes touch and go. Luckily, we were able to go to get him back into his old school, so that went really well for him, and he was familiar, so it fit in. But just a couple things I want to talk about here because I feel the need. When did we need so many supplies? And they're not for him. They're like classroom supplies, and I'm good for that in case that kids come in later on. But holy cow, it was a lot of things. Like 3 packs of crayons. Like who needs 3? Like come on, man. Like and that's per kid. Like you got like at least like almost 40 boxes of crayons in there. Like that's madness. So it was a lot of stuff. Like I'm sure it's all going to be used. Don't get me wrong, but like, and at first I thought I had gotten off to a good space. But then we had to go clothes shopping because Landon is now like actually wearing like big kid clothes, like size smalls and stuff like that. And yeah, man, clothes is expensive. Like just that was rough. That was rough. Yeah, man. Get ready for those people who haven't had that yet. Like when you got back to school clothes, holy cow. Thank God we went on the last day of tax free. That saved us a good amount of money. But oh man, I went to Kohl's and we went to town. We definitely had a little shopping spree at Kohl's. Fun fact, I also got a Lego at Kohl's. I will be debuting that in a couple weeks. I'm building it. Very excited. I actually haven't bought Lego in years. So I'm very excited to show you all that in a couple weeks. And then obviously today we had my first experience with dropping off. Now, granted, it's the first day of school, but dropping off Landon at school. And good Lord, that was a mess. We got there at like 7:30. He didn't get into his class till like 8:05. His school started at 7:40. Obviously, not marked tardy. There's a long line. When I left, there was still people there. They had one person checking in everybody because kindergartners need the visitor pass. It's the only day we can walk them in. So it was absolutely horrid. Like it was horrid. Like just how long we were waiting there. And I had both kids because Noah was hanging out with me because he was going to school afterwards. And Noah was like not wanting to wait in line. He's like daddy. He wanted to run around and then he was agitating his brother because that's what he does. So it was quite the experience. Plus, I'm coming with all these supplies, and it was enough supplies that it was like a giant, almost like one of these like big like the Kohl's bag we used for all the clothes. I used it for all the supplies. I look like Santa Claus. Like that's how big the bag was. Like I threw it over my shoulder and I like just humbled my way across campus to his class that gave it to his teacher. But he had a great day, which is the most important part. Now I thought drop off pickup was bad. I left my house at 1:00, came back at 3 from drop off. That was an adventure all in itself. Hopefully I will come back to you with an update next week because I figured it out. But that was absolutely horrid. But on the bright side, he had a great day. He made Play-Doh. He says he made friends. So I can't be happier with the first day of school. I'm hoping it continues. We'll see how the second day of school goes and the third day. But so far, so good. Fingers crossed that it keeps going good for my boy Lando. And on that note, that kind of wraps up this week's pod. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. However it is that you consume, please continue to, as always, subscribe, download, rate, and review. And as always, if you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me on the YouTube channel or Instagram, Alex Disorganized Thoughts, on Twitter and Facebook at Alex Dis Thoughts, or on Gmail, alexdisorganizedthoughts@gmail.com. Thank you all for listening, watching. Y'all have a good one. Thank you. Peace out.